Good, now I can throw out the note that says start recording.
Start letting them in.
Okay, here we go. Let the games begin. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you, Carol?
Good.
Good. I know, I'm just like hoping that spring is here to stay.
Yeah, it's supposed to have a storm this afternoon, so
Yeah, but it's supposed to be in the 60s, which is good.
I know.
Somebody has some background music.
Good morning.
Good morning, Anna. How are you?
Okay, how are you doing, everybody?
We're all just like we were just talking about. We're waiting for spring, for real spring.
Yes, we are waiting for spring. I am very excited, totally ready.
Yeah, me too. But that's why it was such a tease, because it was so gorgeous last week, and then we went back to the 20s. And I was like, no, I don't want to put on my gloves anymore. I'm done with gloves. Good morning, Aiden. Hi, you're very dark.
How you doing?
I'm good, but you're very dark. Light up the room. Okay, anybody have any good stories to tell us? Any
Not yet.
interviews, any conversations, any networking? Love to hear some good
I'll tell a
stuff.
story.
Sure,
I
who
just
said
talked- I
that?
just talked with two people in the
Oh.
United Kingdom and one lady from Las Vegas this morning already.
No, I just got 2,000 people on LinkedIn connections. So seems
Wow.
to be
Connection
okay.
requests,
I don't know why I can't hear it though.
or
Let me
just,
get
or
the
you just,
sound.
or you just reached 2,000 connections.
I can't see my sound.
2014.
It's gotta be here.
Hi, Joe. I haven't seen you in a long time. How's the map making
Should
business
be.
going?
Slow, but it's picking up this week very
Ooh,
well.
very interesting, Jeff. Joe is a map maker.
Ah,
Very
an
interesting
interesting
profession.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Who just said
Morning.
that?
It's Michael.
Oh, good morning, Michael. I hear voices, but I don't necessarily see faces. I'm like, okay, who is saying that? Actually, I should put it on gallery view, and then maybe I'll see who's talking.
That's cool.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We're up to 41. Oh, I didn't tell you, Jeff. We had 125 people as of this morning registered, which is pretty amazing. And it's like last month, what I say, Monday, I think we had 60. So, you know, that last week, there's always a push.
always, yep. And the numbers keep going up as I can see people
Right.
joining.
And then, like I said, out of the 125, if we get 75 who actually show, I'll be fine. It's amazing to me how much of a drop off there is.
That's fine. I've done between 600 and 600. So hey,
There you go. I know that's the thing about Zoom is you don't really know how many people are on the program. Though I had to do a pitch for a group of teenagers for a philanthropy program that they run where they learn about how, you know, people get funded and they fund projects.
No,
And
that's
I had
actually
30
okay.
faces in front of me. And, oh,
That's fine. I mean,
who's
I
talking?
just, as long as
Okay.
it's,
Ken, there he muted
I
himself.
muted him. Anyway, I had 30 faces in front of me of teenagers, and I was like, and not one of them was looking at the screen. They were clearly all on their phones or all doing something else. And I had literally 6 minutes to pitch my project that I want them to fund, which is a videotape mock interview program. And I was like, okay, I can't look at their faces. I looked at one of the guys who was running it because they were clearly not listening to me. So there.
Well, and in the opposite of Zoom, a week or two ago, I got to do my very first in-person presentation for
Ooh.
over 2 years, and it was to a group of about 100 to 150 high school seniors here locally, as a matter of fact. So I got to actually do a local presentation. I actually got to go up on stage and do my thing again. It was so much fun. It was a break from Zoom, which was a lot of fun for me.
Although I will tell you, for those of us who don't like presenting to large groups, being on Zoom makes it much more comfortable because you don't realize that there are 50 or 60 or 70 people in front of you. You're just looking at whoever. Right now I'm looking at, you know, Nancy on the main screen and Jeff on the little blurb in front of me. So although I wouldn't mind some in-person stuff, but we're not ready for that yet here.
People seem to hide on Zoom as well. Obviously, a lot of people don't put their videos on. And that doesn't mean that they don't want to participate. It just means that they don't show up with an actual face sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, too many people.
My
hide.
wife recently got a promotion and a raise, and I credit Meryl a little bit because she coached me and I coached my wife a little bit, but I'm sure she didn't. And I said to her, I was like, I said, honey, why don't you come listen while you're working here in the house to this lecture today, because it's about how to get a job on LinkedIn. And she said, but I already got a job on LinkedIn. I didn't have to do anything. All I did was I had to apply, and that was it. And I laughed at it. And so I'm saying to myself, it's because she's really pretty. I mean, we're all very good looking here, but in my mind, it was easy for her.
Well, it's nice to, have a success story by association. So there we go. All right, it's 10:06, and I know we got a lot of stuff ahead of us. So I'm going to turn over the admissions of people to the group to Nancy Aronson, my wonderful trusty helper. And let me give you my little dog and pony welcome to JVS. For those of you who are new to the program, for those of you who've been on the program before, you can go snooze or check your email. But those of you who've been on the program before, my name is Dr. Meryl Canner. I am the Director for Career Counseling and Placement at JVS, which stands for Jewish Vocational Services. We've been around since 1939, and we have served thousands of people over the years. It's an international organization. There are JVSs around the country. Our speaker is actually out in Detroit and does programs for JVS out there through no connection of mine. But anyway, so what we do at JVS is we help people help themselves, which means help them get jobs, help them get back on their feet. That's our goal. We do that with people who have disabilities. We do that with people who are recent emigres. And in our department, we do that with what I call you, which is may or may not be true, the middle income unemployed. And that's from the mailroom to the boardroom, and we serve people from 18 to 80. But most of our clients are 50 plus, so we're very used to dealing with people who have a lot of experience, who feel like they're, dealing with ageism issues and other kinds of, high-ranking kinds of issues. Our job is twofold. One is to make you the best job searchers you can be. That's everything from resumes to cover letters to LinkedIn, and mostly it's all about networking. And the second part of my job, which I think is actually more important, is keeping you motivated and supported through the process. Unlike all the group stuff, which is great, and there's so much stuff out there, we do this one-on-one, individually, low cost, to help you stay motivated so that on the days that you get your interviews, we go, yay. And on the days that you maybe don't hear back and get ghosted or you get a rejection, we're like, okay, take the day off, eat a lot of ice cream, binge watch Game of Thrones, but tomorrow you and I are going to strategize again. So that's what we do at JVS. If you have any interest in finding out more about our services, I will put into the chat about our services and my contact information. Although all you have to do is Google my name, and everything that comes up is JVS related. So I know what my Google presence is online. Anyway, brief bio and a brief introduction. And now I'm going to quickly introduce our speaker, Jeff, although he's not speaking. Jeff was amazing to be here. It was like 4 weeks ago, Jeff, I think. And
Yeah,
he was
about right.
great. And he did a presentation and we had a lot of questions and answers. And we decided for his part 2 that we were going to really leave it up to questions. And what's interesting is we had 125 people register for this program, and I got 7 questions in the emails that people responded. So whether or not people don't have questions or didn't want to respond or didn't see that part of the flyer, I don't know. But whatever it is, we're going to start with those questions. And if you have questions along the way, either related to what Jeff is talking about or something else, put it in the chat box, write the word question beforehand so that my wonderful helper Nancy and I will find it. And then if we have time, we will get to those questions. Again, the people responded to sort of get first pick here. So I'm going to read a short bio here. Jeff Young is a highly qualified education and performance development executive with 30 plus years of progressive experience in program design and delivery, and 35 years of engagement and project management experience. Where was I? Because someone's talking and it interrupted me. His expertise lies in his ability to identify organizational needs and develop training programs suited to all levels of personnel. But most recently, he has devoted his time to being a professional networker, teaching networking in LinkedIn, and he has trained thousands of professionals in how to maximize their networking skills and best utilize networking tools. When I found Jeff on another program that was set up by Ken in December, and I reached out to him, And the first time we spoke, he said, oh, I'll do 2 programs. So that's the kind of guy he is. That's what he's doing now. And we're so glad to have you here. So Jeff, take it away.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm not sure, if you're an international organization, you always have to say that. The short version of that is, how do you do, folks? I'm Jeff Young. I am the LinkedIn guru. Namaste. Okay. And if you look up guru in the dictionary, you see the word teacher. And that is exactly what I am. I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher most of my life, even though part of that life was a project manager. And I was a teacher as a project manager as well. But that's also why I have the boy in blue behind me. You might notice as a part of my brand that I have this guy with a red S behind me back here, because I also sometimes introduce myself by saying, hi, I'm Jeff Young. I'm a teacher. What's your superpower? Okay. So from that perspective, that's what I love to do. Thank you, Meryl. Thank you, Ken, for the original introduction. Thank you, Meryl, for bringing me back again. Because as a teacher, I love to answer questions, and that's what I'm going to try to do as much as possible today. And again, I'll reiterate, I put my link to my LinkedIn profile in the chat box, and I already see one question out there that we'll hopefully get to. That is almost always a question that I get asked. So I do see one question out there, but we'll start, as Meryl said, with the questions that we got from the folks who were kind enough to actually send them along in the registration and ask for those kinds of questions. So this is all going to be about LinkedIn. This is I got to give you some background about LinkedIn. LinkedIn should be treated, it's talking about a networking tool. LinkedIn is pretty much the best professional networking tool I've ever found in my entire life. Especially during the last couple of years because of COVID and being able to network virtually. It is a wonderful tool to be able to do that with. But I think you should treat LinkedIn as a 24/7, 365 networking party that's going on, and that you can join anytime you feel like joining it by going out to LinkedIn and becoming a part of it. And I'm going to try to show you how to use the networking piece of LinkedIn, of course, because a huge piece of that is finding the right people, is getting found yourself, and that's the process that we're going to be talking about. So without further ado, let's talk about the first question that came in, and it's a question I hear a lot because a lot of people are going through it. It's a question from a person that's actually currently trying to change careers, and they are trying to become something new, and that something new, they described it as something called a data steward. And so they want to know how you get found, as a data steward, or how you network with other people who are in that realm, in that role. Okay. So my first answer to that is using LinkedIn. One of the first things that I would do if I were trying to become a data steward is I would go out to LinkedIn and I would do a search for other people who have data steward as a title, or any other title that you can think of that would match to it. Okay, and that would bring up at least a result. And let me share my screen and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me share my screen, and here we are sitting at my profile, by the way. So please go to my profile via that link anytime you see fit. And also, by the way, one of the things that I want you to do is as a teacher, I don't give homework, but my one piece of homework for you is to please go out there and click the follow button. Because if you click the follow button, you actually have a chance of seeing my stuff in your LinkedIn feed anytime you come to LinkedIn. There's no guarantees, but if you at least will click the follow button, you've got a chance of doing that. And oh, by the way, one of the things that you might notice is after you follow me, when you go to my profile, you might actually see a bell over here, down here where this pencil is sitting right now. If you ring that bell, that would be an even better chance of you actually getting to see my stuff, because that will actually tell you when something comes up. So let's talk about the data steward. Okay, so honestly, I would start searching for something that says something like data steward. And as you can see, I've done this link before, and I click data steward, and what it comes up with is results. And then I can focus on people, and I can click the people filter for data stewards. Well, that's pretty good size results. As you can see here, I've got 11,000 results of something that says data steward for people out there. Okay. So what I probably would do is that if I happen to be in the New York area, I'd basically say, well, how many of those data stewards are in the New York metropolitan area? And that'll skinny it down to perhaps a little less, which is 504 and as opposed to 11,000. And that'll give me a place to start at least. And don't forget that you can use other filters as well. Okay, it's actually one of the filters that you can use is you can see whether or not you actually have any of those people that you're connected to or by first or second degree show those results, and that brings the results down to 8, which is fairly targeted. So now I can be targeted and looking at these people, and I can see how far away from myself they are. There are no first degree connections, but I have a bunch of second degree connections. So now, how do I find these people? How do I network with these people? Well, one of the first things that I would tell you to do is that you can, if you want to, use the direct approach, which would mean that direct approach would be trying to connect with this person. Now, there's a proper way to do this on LinkedIn that I recommend you do only on the desktop, because if you go doing this on a LinkedIn app and you click the connect button on the LinkedIn app, it will not give you a choice and a chance to write this person a message. So the direct approach is, and I would also recommend, if you see this in the results, never clicking the connect button here either, because it will also send the generic request. I'd like to add you to my network. Big deal, okay? I mean, that and 450 will get you a cup of coffee, but it won't necessarily get you a good connection. So I recommend that you actually go to a person's profile, okay? Bring up this person and then click the connect button here on their profile, okay? So see if, first of all, I'd look at this person, see if they might be a good connection. I would actually scan through their about section. I'd check them out. I'd read what they've said about themselves. I'd read their experience, etc. See if it's a good match. And then if it's a good match, I click the connect button. And clicking the connect button at least then gives you a chance to do this, which is add a note, which would then say, okay, hi, I noticed that I found you on LinkedIn and you and I are both you and I both have the title of data steward, and I'd like to talk to you about being a data steward. Would you be willing to network with me and connect with me? Now, that's the whole point. That's all you really want, okay? You're not trying, again, you're trying to connect with someone. So this is a method of doing it on a direct basis and allowing you to get to this person so that you can send them the message and say if they'd like to connect. Now, by the way, trying to connect with someone who's not really active on LinkedIn isn't going to do you any good, because if they're never out on LinkedIn, they're never going to see your connection request. They're never going to say yes. Okay, but you won't get the chance unless you actually put in something in this message and then click the send button to send the connection to them. Now that's the direct method. Okay, here's the networking method. Once I pick one of these people and I already know that I know somebody that knows them, it will usually tell you if there are second degree connections. Sometimes it will actually say, people, it will suggest people you may know. It may also show you the common connections. But one of the really nice things that is on LinkedIn is that if I want to contact someone that I know to introduce me to someone that I do not know, here's a little feature that you probably didn't know about. Most people don't know it exists. Down here in the lower right-hand corner is a box called messaging. When I click messaging, part of the magic that happens when I click messaging, okay, and I'm going to have to move you guys out of the way. Hopefully everybody can still see this, right? What happens is that I find that, look, I have a connection, okay, to Paul through Alex' friend, okay? And Alex and I have already been connected for a while, so I can then click on Alex, okay, as a connection, bring him up, and then click here, and that will bring up a message box that will allow me to send a message to Alex that says, Alex, I see you know Paul, okay? Would you please be would you be willing to introduce me to Paul if you can, or give me his email and or et cetera, contact information so I can contact him separately? And would it be all right if I mentioned your name? Okay, so connecting with a warm connection is obviously sometimes a little better than connecting with a cold connection, which is just the direct connect button because you've never met this person before or seen any of this person's stuff. Now, there's also one further method. So before I go on, everybody understand those two different ways. Clicking the connect button on the person, okay, on their profile, clicking the messaging button, clicking your connection, okay, or one or multiples of them, because it will show you up to about 10 of these folks, okay, and then sending that person a message to allow them to connect you with the person. There's one more method though, and this will depend on whether or not they actually have any activity or not. Everybody with me on that so far? Any questions about that so far? Okay, all right. So I'm going to take Meryl's head shake as that there's nothing out there, okay, that I can see. But here's another method that you can use to connect with someone that is not a physical LinkedIn actual, I send you an invitation connection. When you look at a person, you are going to see that they have had activity. So I can actually see that, okay, this might not be a good choice because the last activity, notice what I'm looking at on Paul's profile. His last activity on LinkedIn was he posted this 2 months ago, which indicates to me that he's probably not very active on LinkedIn, okay? But if they were active on LinkedIn, what I could do is this, okay? So again, this is probably not a good connection for me because it's been 2 months since he's actually done anything on LinkedIn, or at least posted anything on LinkedIn. But if this were a little bit closer to being a current kind of situation where they posted within the last week or something along those lines, what I can do is I can actually click on this activity, go out to this activity, and then I can actually start to connect with this person by clicking the comment button on this person, okay? And that will allow me to then add a comment here. So I will probably mention them with an @ symbol, okay? And then put some sort of comment. I thought what you said was interesting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just send, I'm not gonna actually do this. But you doing this, if they're active on LinkedIn, they'll get notified then that you put a comment out there, and it will actually start a conversation because you're talking about something that they thought was useful enough for them to post themselves. Again, does that make sense? So there's the direct method, there's the I would like to talk to someone else method, okay? Talk to someone you know to introduce you to those person, and then there's this method, which is an indirect method by commenting on what they have posted on LinkedIn. And that's how I get a lot of my connections is people that I don't know will actually comment on something that I've done. As an example, let me show you what happened this morning, because here's my most recent post that was from about 3 days ago. The people that commented on my stuff this morning, for example, just a few hours ago, were this lady, okay, who is a second-degree connection, and it was only 2 hours ago. She commented on something about loving the animation that I put in my post, and then I commented back that that was a thank you, and that was really very nice to hear that. So it was music to my ears. Okay, another person that I actually was connected with posted 2 hours ago, and I responded back to that as well. This is one of the most powerful things that you can do. As a matter of fact, posting content is a powerful thing that you can do on LinkedIn as well. But honestly, folks, I only post once or twice a week. I comment on stuff about 90 or 100 times a week. And that's how I start conversations. That's how I actually find people who are from all over the world that I can have a conversation with. And sometimes those actual conversations turn into connections. And those connections then sometimes turn into actual friends and that are long-time connections. And I go and I get to network with them on a regular basis. Okay, so does that help? Any other questions?
I think that's great. That was 3 different ways to do it. I think that's terrific.
Well, and you can be, and I see Patricia actually has raised her hand, so.
Go ahead, Patricia, unmute yourself.
Yes, just a quick question relating to creating posts, actually. So I've been trying to post, at least once a week and whatnot. And this morning I accidentally posted to a closed group versus posting it, on the, so that everybody could see it.
The main feed.
So I was going to delete the original post, but I already had comments on it. So would it penalize me? And I just reposted it on the regular,
Okay.
on the regular feed. But what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, well, the reasons for posting, it's better probably on the main feed, Patricia, because of the fact that if you post something out there, it's got a much broader audience. Okay, I mean, it has a possibility of being seen by 810 million people. Now,
Right. No, that I get. And that was, again, that's who I wanted to post to. But the fact of the matter is I already posted to the small group and then I added it to the big group. If I delete that small group post, even though it already has reactions to it, do I get penalized? Because I know sometimes it penalizes you.
No, I don't think LinkedIn will penalize you. The only penalty that you would suffer there is that you won't get any more comments on it. You know, I love it. I mean, if you posted someplace that got comments, I'd probably never delete it. I would just continue to monitor it and watch the comments and have those conversations.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And by the way, there's another place that I want you to look. In terms of in general, let me answer that how you post and what you post question in general. You might want to take your hand down now, by the way. I do a lot of newsletters. I do a monthly newsletter on LinkedIn, and you can find that by going to my profile and clicking on my profile, going down to where it says show all activity, okay, down here. So it's a little ways down. If you click show all activity and then you click articles, you'll see, if you click the articles button up at the top, you're going to see my LinkedIn, my LinkedIn articles, my newsletters, okay, because that's how I post nowadays. And there are actually 21 different editions of this out there. Now, one of the ones that is way back in history, okay, is something that you could find if you want to go searching for it. But one of the ways that you can find something is that if you know the title of it, okay, you can go do a Google search of it. Okay, so let me show you. If you're interested in finding out more about how to do a post, let me take you to anatomy. Whoop, there it is. I've done this search before. Google search out there for something that says anatomy of a LinkedIn post. Okay, if you do this Google search, that will be my post at the very top. Okay, and then you can click that link and it will take you directly to the newsletter that will give you what my philosophy about how to post and what to post and how often to post, etc. on LinkedIn. And that's been a long time ago. Okay, it was actually from, as you can see, it was actually from August 30th of 2020. Okay, it was like maybe the second newsletter that I ever posted. But it's there, and so you can always find that information out there on my profile by going to the articles, by getting access to it. But you can also get that information by doing a Google search for it as well. As a matter of fact, one of the things that you might want to try if you want to search for more things about being effective on LinkedIn, and I would recommend in many instances putting these things in quotes, okay? But be effective on LinkedIn as a Google search will also get you a ton of different possibilities, okay? Here's be effective on LinkedIn by following best practices. So you're going to find a great many of my posts out there where where they all start with be effective on LinkedIn as well. Okay, and other ways of doing stuff. So that's one way to show you how to find stuff on an ongoing basis.
Jeff, there's a related question to this, which is, are shares and likes considered to be activity? Will that show up in activity as well?
Yes. For most people who don't have what's called creator mode on, if you've turned on something called creator mode, only your posts show up in your activity. But if you have not turned on creator mode, every single piece of activity that you do, so a comment and a like and et cetera, all of those things show up as well. Okay, so those things will show up in the activity. As a matter of fact, and I think one of the other things that if you want to, on a consistent basis, start conversing with someone out there, find someone whose content you like, okay, and then go find their content on a regular basis. And let me show you how to do that by going to Meryl's, because I want to illustrate something here on Meryl as well. Because it's a good thing. Don't be scared. Okay, it's a good thing because what I can do is if I look you up, Meryl, okay, and I've already done this earlier today. If I go to your profile, and this is true of my profile, this is true of anyone's profile. If I go to your profile and I actually scroll down, I'll see your activity, okay? but I also want people to realize that you can go to show all activity and then go to their posts by clicking on the post button, right? Now, interestingly enough, I did this earlier today and I realized that, oh my gosh, you announced this 3 days ago, but I didn't even know about it. And you and I are connected, but I didn't see it.
Whoa.
Now, I'll tell you why I didn't see it. Because one of the things that you didn't do in the text that you posted here is that you didn't mention me. You didn't tag me. If you'd actually tagged me, it would have actually sent me a notification that you posted this, and then I could have come back and engaged in the conversation. Now, I'll do it now, but I'll show you how I normally do this. I will normally do something like, okay, I'll celebrate that because I think that was great, because it's a great opportunity to come back and, you know, and do this a second time, okay? And then I'll go into the comments and I will start the comment with an @ symbol. And that @ symbol will allow me to mention you, okay? So see how I did that? I started it with an @ symbol, and then it basically will bring up your name, okay, because you're the author of the post, and I don't have to use your full name. If I'm actually doing this as a conversation, I wouldn't say, Meryl Irwin Kenner, I think this is a great opportunity, thank you so much, okay? I wouldn't say that. I would say Meryl, and then go on with my sentence. So since I've got your name up here now, in order for me to converse with you on a first name basis, all I have to do is press the backspace key a couple of times, and now I'm saying, Meryl, thank you very much for, see, I can't type, but I can type, okay? Very much for the opportunity to teach again. All right? And then I might actually add something that I normally add on a normal basis that I just drop in there for every single comment that I do, because I usually, being the guru, end my conversations with namaste. And I've also made it an acronym, which actually namaste to me means, well, besides the fact that it means that the spirit in me honors and respects the spirit in you, which is the traditional Indian greeting, okay, it also means network and make all sorts of terrific energy, okay? And that's my comment back. Now, when I actually post this, you will eventually get a notification that I actually commented on your post. And that allows us then to go back and forth. Okay, so that's an easy way to do that.
But can you
Now-
explain, because now I'm a little confused. If I share something to everyone, how come you wouldn't have seen it? Especially even if I shared it just to my connections, which I
It's
didn't. I
because
shared-
it's because there is no way that LinkedIn has the bandwidth to share whatever you share with every single one of the rest of your connections. Okay,
Mm.
so it is going to. You and I have not interacted a lot on posts, which is why it didn't think that I needed to see this. Okay, but I went on purpose to your post to find it, because I was going to be conversing with you today anyway. So then I found it, and now I've responded to it. Now that I've responded to it, LinkedIn will, the algorithm, okay, that LinkedIn uses to feed me stuff, will say, hey, you responded to Meryl's post. Maybe the next time Meryl posts, it'll show me the fact that you posted. But it won't do that normally, and there's no way that it can show you everything that everybody that you know does out there. The more you interact with something, the more that LinkedIn shows you those interactions with the people that you've interacted with. It's kind of like, I use this to equate it. Everybody understands, usually because it's been around for such a long time, everybody ever heard of the thing called Pandora? Okay, Pandora is a music program that you give a thumbs up and thumbs down to, okay, that says I like it or I don't like it. Well, that's what you're doing here. You're telling LinkedIn through an algorithm like Pandora that says, I like this stuff, I want more of it. And since I commented on it, LinkedIn will start feeding it to you the more that you do of that. Okay, so that's the key to networking. It really makes a huge difference.
Got it.
Okay. Okay, now, one other thing while I'm here, and this is important as well. Okay, it'll be something that I want you folks to understand that you can do with anybody's post, and you do this with mine, please, if you'd like to see my post on a regular basis, because this will make sure that no matter how often we've interacted, you can actually get back to my posts. If you go to this position on me, okay, like I am now, okay, go to Meryl, go to a person, Okay, go down to show all activity, then click on posts so that it brings up their posts. And now, because I'm doing this on a browser, okay, I can actually go up here to this upper right-hand corner and I see what it says up there. It says bookmark this tab. So I can actually bookmark you, Meryl, and I'm going to actually call it Meryl. I'll keep it up here, and I'm not going to put it in frequent. I'm just going to put it on the bookmarks bar so I can get back to it and say done. Now, no matter where I happen to be on LinkedIn, no matter what I'm doing on my own profile, no matter what I'm doing up here, all I have to do is go back to that bookmark, click Meryl as a bookmark or Jeff as a bookmark, and it brings up your posts. Boom, one click away. Okay, that's the beauty of doing this on a browser, because you can't do that on the app. You can't do that on a mobile app. You can't do that on a tablet. You can't do that on your phone. This will allow you to bring that. So again, bringing me up, doing that, and then bookmarking my page will assure that you can get back to my content anytime that you want. Okay? Okay. Let's finish off that first question. There was an addendum, okay? The question that was asked by that person who started talking about data steward also asked about also applying on LinkedIn. Should you apply on LinkedIn? And is that effective? And does HR frown upon this? Okay. Well, first of all, HR, in many people who are recruiters, 94% or 95% of the recruiters in the United States are using LinkedIn. So it probably would not be a detriment. However, I've got to tell you that most organizations, most companies wouldn't frown on the fact that you've applied through LinkedIn, but what they would rather you do is that you apply through their system. So if I see a job on LinkedIn, what I would normally do to apply to it is go to the company's website, find that job on their website and apply through there, okay, as opposed to LinkedIn. Because what that allows them to do is utilize their systems. Now, you may not think very highly of these types of systems, but these people are using these kinds of systems all the time. And it's called an applicant tracking system. So it's an automated process that puts you into their system, and that's a part of the process. You want to be in their system. You want to be there from that point forward. So especially the first time that you've ever applied to something, I would go to their website, I would apply to their website, and I would attach my resume there. Now, the nice thing about applying through LinkedIn is that it will actually attach your profile at the same time. Applying through LinkedIn allows you to attach a focused resume to it, but it also give them a link to your LinkedIn profile at the same time. And oh, by the way, that's a nice thing, but it doesn't matter what you do. When you apply to something and you actually make the cut where someone's actually going to see your resume and then start reading your resume and going through the process, after they read your resume, guess what the first thing that they do to look you up is? They go to LinkedIn and try to find more about you on LinkedIn, because that's a major difference between the two. Is a resume is a very focused tool that focuses on a particular job description. Your account on LinkedIn is much broader and a much broader perspective, and it's your marketing brochure. It's your story in a much broader sense. Okay, so again, I equate it this way to finish that thought off. Think of your LinkedIn, think of your resume as the steak. Think of LinkedIn as the sizzle, okay? It's much more of that marketing brochure, website, etc. Perspective, okay? Okay, let's go on to the second question here, because I think I can show you a couple of things as an illustration that's important here as well. The second question was, how can I know or test if the setup of my profile, if what I've got on my profile, including the keywords, okay, is resulting in me being found? Of course, that depends on how I'm being searched for, right? I mean, whoever's using the recruiters and the people who are searching are using keywords. And that's really the key, is keywords, okay? So I would tell you that you really need to optimize your profile in the best fashion possible. And in order to do that, you need to put those right keywords as many times as possible on your LinkedIn profile so that you can get found. Now, let me show you another, by the way, let me show you another newsletter that I did, which I highly recommend that you go take a look at. It was only one newsletter ago, but it was Be Effective on LinkedIn by the Numbers. please go look at this one. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bring this one up, and I'm actually going to put the link to this one in the chat box. Because from a profile perspective, hang on, let me drop this in the chat box. There we go. Okay. From a LinkedIn perspective, how you get found and how your profile looks, how your profile is set up is extremely important. And one of the things that you're gonna notice when you go through this particular newsletter is that it's going to talk about the old adage about real estate is that there are three things that are important in real estate: location, location, location. Okay. Well, there are three things that are important about your LinkedIn profile: keywords, keywords, keywords. Okay. So you have to make sure that the keywords that are the ones that are focused on what you want to be, not what you were necessarily. And keywords are important, but it should be keywords that are focused on what you want to be, like data steward. If you don't have data steward on your profile about 20 times, you're probably not going to be found as a data steward, or any other title and keyword that mentions you. Okay, so how do you figure out how many times something is on your profile? Okay, here's an easy way. I'll show you how to look for that, and then I'll also talk to you about how you determine what keywords to possibly put there. First things first, one of the ways that you can determine is you can go searching for yourself. You can actually put those keywords in the search up here, and you can actually go type in something that would be hopefully what you're going to be found as, and then you can see whether or not you show up in the results or not. That's one way, okay? But if you're talking about how many times a keyword is on your profile, here's how you do that. You go to your profile, and then in the upper right-hand corner, here's a little trick that I use all the time. In the upper right-hand corner, you could search here, but I want you to do this instead: edit public profile and URL. Because here's what happens. When I bring up this page, which is different than my profile, you'll notice that it is actually expanded. You can see a lot more text here. Okay, which will give me the ability to actually do a search here instead of here, and it will be a better search, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another browser trick. I'm going to search for particular keywords on my profile, and I'm going to do that by bringing up again, clicking on edit public profile and URL, which opens it up in a separate tab, and then I'm going to actually use a keyboard shortcut, and I'm going to use a browser function. Okay, if you're on a PC, hold down the control key and click F. If you're on a Mac, hold down the command key and click F. Okay, that will bring up this little box that you see up here in the upper right hand corner. Okay, now I want to be found as a LinkedIn trainer, so I am actually going to type in the word LinkedIn trainer, and as you can see, it already has started to highlight those for me, and it highlights them all in yellow, okay, etc., as you go down through. And by the way, it will then allow you to see that there's the first instance of LinkedIn trainer out of 24 of them. So I am now showing up higher in a search for LinkedIn trainer than someone who has 23 of them, and I'm showing up a little lower than someone who has 25 of them. Okay, LinkedIn trainer. So that was a key for me being found. Okay, so that's how I put it on my profile as many times as possible in as many places in the text as possible. Okay. Now, one of the things that I noticed when I went through this process is I wonder if LinkedIn trainer is being found as often as maybe another possible keyword. Okay, so here's something that I'm going to show you that is an interesting little trick as well, that you can use to see whether or not maybe there would be a better version of this. Notice what you're going to find here, okay, is if I look through LinkedIn trainer, you're going to see that there's another keyword that I did not originally have on my LinkedIn profile that I want on my profile, called LinkedIn training, because people might search for LinkedIn training possibly more frequently than LinkedIn trainer. All right, now here's how I found that out. What I did was I went to, okay, and I'm going to use, let me find it real quickly. It's probably under, yep. It's a thing called Google Trends. If you go to trends.google.com, okay? That will allow you to start searching for a particular term or topic to see how many times it actually might show up. Now, this is not how many times it's searched for on LinkedIn, but it is how many times it actually gets searched for in a Google search, which, by the way, lots of people use Google search because Google is the world's search engine, okay? So I actually tested this. I said, okay, how many times is LinkedIn Trainer used? So I clicked on LinkedIn Trainer as the search term, and it brings back, okay, the fact that there it is over the past 12 months. Give it a few seconds here for it to actually bring it up. Over the past 12 months, you can see that it's actually been searched for, wow, in some instances, at least 100 times. Okay, that's pretty cool. And it even shows you where it's been searched for, in New York, in Texas, in California, where it's searched for most, okay, as an example. But here's the cool part about it. I said, well, I wonder how that relates to LinkedIn training. And I use that search term as a comparison. Notice the difference in the bar graphs. On average, LinkedIn Trainer was searched 8 times per month. On average, it was searched at least 8 times more, at 61 times for LinkedIn Training. So I determined that, wow, if I want to be found, that's a much better term that I should start using on my profile. So I went back to my profile and started updating every place I had LinkedIn Trainer with the words LinkedIn Training at the same time. Okay? So that's one of the ways that you can maximize your keywords and use the process. And that was using tools outside of LinkedIn, but coming back to LinkedIn and then basically being able so when I'm talking about when I'm doing LinkedIn training, see, it's almost there every single time that LinkedIn Trainer was, because it's on my profile 22 times. Because I just came back to what I was searching, and I now changed the term to LinkedIn Training. Okay. How are we doing, Meryl? Anything else?
So far, there are more questions, but not related to what you're talking about. So let's keep going.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part. More questions?
There are questions that are not related to what you're talking about. So let's go through the ones that people submitted first,
Okay.
and then we'll see how much time we have to get back to those.
All right. Okay. Well, let me cover the one that was there. I'm going to skip back out of these questions because, again, they're all great questions, and I want to answer as many of them as I can. But obviously, you know, if you think I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about LinkedIn in an hour and a half to 2 hours, it's just not going to happen. But I will hopefully show you where to look, you know, because I believe that the best teachers, you know, show you where to look, but don't tell you what to see. So from that standpoint, I'm trying to show you where to look. One of the questions that I first saw is a question that I get asked almost every single time, and that is whether or not paying for LinkedIn is worthwhile. And the answer is, unfortunately, a consulting answer, it all depends, okay? I got to tell you that there are reasons to pay for LinkedIn, okay? One of the things that I find, though, is that I usually, when somebody asks me, should I pay for LinkedIn, I say, well, have you really delved into how you use LinkedIn? Have you beat the tool up enough to figure out what you might get from the standpoint of paid versus free? Have you really tried to do some things and know how to do some things for free that LinkedIn might want to charge you for, but you could get around? Okay, so honestly, you know, 95% of the people that I meet have not even scratched the surface of what you can do on LinkedIn for free, much less paying for it. So the answer is usually no. But in my instance, I do pay for it, and here's one of the reasons why. First of all, paying for it, there are 4 different types of packages. Only one or 2 of which might apply to you folks, because the one that applies to you is probably the career package, which is the least expensive package, which is about $40 a month. And it will give you some of the capabilities, but not all of the capabilities of some of the other packages. What I'm using is a package called a business package, which allows me to search as often as I want, as much as I want, as many times as I want, as many times a day as I want, and never run out of searches. Okay, so running out of searches might be a reason why you might want to pay for LinkedIn. But I would tell you that you might want to look at one of my newsletters about that as well, because did a newsletter that was a guest author that told me how to do Boolean searching and focus my searching so that I wouldn't run out of searches in the first place. So again, it's not absolutely necessary. But here is one thing that I really enjoy about the fact that I can do this, okay, and see more than other people can see. On the free version, you would not see this graph. Okay, well, that's interesting. It's showing trends. It's showing, that right now my number of views to my profile are trending down. But the key is that if you don't pay for LinkedIn, all LinkedIn will be able to show you is the last 5 people who've looked at your profile. Okay, now here again, if you get 5 hits on your profile a week, okay, which is not enough, by the way, you need to bring that number up. But if you get 5 hits on your profile a week, how often would you have to go out to look at this page, okay, of people who have viewed your profile, to see the last 5 people? Do the math. 5 hits a week, I have to go out once a week. If I get 5 hits a day, I could still see the last 5 people if I went out and looked at this once a day. The reason that this is important and extremely interesting is that because you never know why some people are actually looking at you. I assume that Charles looked at my profile because I told you guys to a little while ago, and he's connected to Merrill, so that's why he's probably looked. Okay, but the cool part about that is that now I can look back and I can see whether or not he might be a good connection and whether or not we actually could have a conversation, etc. So being able to look at this is important, and being able to come back to these people on a frequent basis is important as well. Okay, so from the standpoint of looking at these people, now, by the way, I don't care how much you pay for it. Notice that I told you I have a premium account, but that will not keep these people from being anonymous. Someone at the University of Tokyo looked at me. Someone at Rutgers University looked at me. Someone at, I can't even pronounce that, looked at me. Okay. Well, the point being is that I can't tell who those people are, and I don't care how much I pay for LinkedIn. They'll never be able to show me that, because some people actually look at your profile anonymously. Which, by the way, gets me to another question. Someone said that they wanted to know, how do I prevent people from checking me out who are private? You can't, and you don't want to. Because the object of this game is to get found. And I don't care who it is, whether they're private or otherwise, okay, then I don't care as long as they look. Because if they look, they actually might see something they like, they might actually follow me, they might actually go through the process of trying to connect with me, etc. So don't worry about it. And oh, by the way, especially if this is a partially anonymous, someone at the University of Tokyo, this is a fully anonymous. Okay, one person with the title of recruiter. And by the way, a lot of recruiters look at your profile in anonymous mode. Now, they don't do that to be nasty. They don't do that they just do that because they're a recruiter. They've got thousands of people that might be looking back at them. Thousands of people that they might possibly have jobs for. But don't worry about it. The fact that they did look is a good thing. So you want to see that happen. But don't worry about the fact that they really don't want to give you false hope. Honestly, that's really why most recruiters are, because recruiters will contact you if they have something for you. They don't need to be contacted by you to see whether or not there's something there. And now, it's not a bad idea to have relationships with recruiters and connect with certain recruiters, but the obvious trend for that one is that you should be connecting with recruiters who are in the industry, who are targeting and who do recruiting for the areas that you're trying to find in the first place. Building relationships with those folks is a great thing. So I'd connect with those folks. But from that standpoint, don't worry about the fact that they're anonymous out here. And oh, by the way, if you turn yourself anonymous, all this stuff disappears. Okay, if you are anonymous, you don't get to see who's looked at your profile either. Okay, it's only fair. Okay, so the point is, I don't even recommend that you turn yourself anonymous. I will never do that. Okay, it's a setting that you can actually, when you look at somebody's profile, you show up as anonymous. I don't recommend you do that. I recommend that you do that in a public way, and don't think that because you looked at someone's profile. I mean, look at all these people that have looked at my profile. There is no way that I'm ever going to know why. they actually looked at my profile, unless of course they're connected with me and they want to see some of my stuff. But as you can see, most of these people are second or third degree connections. Okay, so I'm just happy that they did. Okay, and a lot of times when I see somebody look at my profile, I look back because that's the possibility of maybe making a connection through their content or through the direct method as well. But don't. What ends up happening is that you can actually generate more views to your profile if you go look at someone else's profile, because a lot of times when they see that you've looked at their profile, they wonder why, and they'll look back. And that might be the beginning of that possible relationship. So, again, there are 810 million of your closest friends out here, possible closest friends out here on LinkedIn. So let any of them look at you in whatever fashion they want to, and you look at as many of them as you need to. Don't, by the way, what I showed you earlier there, a lot of times I talk about the fact that I want to see a person's content. Well, if I go that direct route like I did with Meryl, okay, if I click on Meryl and go to Meryl's content like this, that's not a view to her profile. That's a view to her content. This is a view to her profile. I actually have to go here. So it will show that I've actually viewed Meryl's profile. But this view is not, because this is going to a different URL, a different location of her posts instead. So you can look at anybody's post that you want and not feel like you're a stalker, okay? Because you can actually check out their content without actually going to their profile picture and going to their profile directly. Okay.
The only reason you want to stay anonymous is when you're checking out the guy your daughter is dating. That's the only time you want to stay anonymous on LinkedIn.
Say it again.
I said the only time you want to stay anonymous on LinkedIn is when you're checking out the guy that your daughter is dating. Because I did that once and I wasn't an anonymous, and oh, did I get hell for that one. So there is just a related quick question, Jeff. What is the limit for searches on free LinkedIn?
Nobody's going to ever be able to tell you that. There are some people that think it's maybe 100 searches a month, etc. I don't know. It's not really based on the number of times you do it. It's actually based on the number of results you get back. I do know that. Okay. So LinkedIn will warn you when you're approaching, warning, danger, Will Robinson, approaching the commercial search limit. Okay. But the point being is that there's no way that you can do anything about that. If you hit the commercial search limit, there's no way that you can tell what the limit is. You can no way that you can get a definitive number. LinkedIn will never tell it this way. They'll never give away the secret. Okay. But the point being is that it will warn you that you're approaching the commercial search limit on the free version. If you actually reach the commercial search limit, that does not mean that you cannot search. All that means that LinkedIn will only show you the first 3 or 4 results. Okay, so you could keep searching if you want to. And by the way, this is a month-by-month basis, so I'll get to that in just a second. But if you could keep searching, and as long as you're definitive enough to get it down to 3 or 4 results, or maybe less than 10 results, you're going to see the most of the results are there already anyway. So it doesn't keep you from searching. You can continue to search. And by the way, today's the last day for that. Okay, if I hit the commercial search limit today, okay, then tomorrow I get all my searches back because LinkedIn resets it at the beginning of every calendar month. Okay, so if you reached it, don't worry, wait till the beginning of the next month, you'll get them all back. And as I said, it does not keep you from doing more searches anyway. Okay, it just doesn't show you all the results. Okay. Let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk a little bit about something that's a brand new feature, fairly brand new feature on LinkedIn. And it's something called career break. When the person asked it, they put it in quotes, they said gap in your work. If you want to know more about something, you need to know what to call it on LinkedIn. So if you want to know more about career break, okay, I highly recommend that you go up under me, you click the help button. Okay, and then you type actually what I recommend is that you actually open help in a new tab. And then since you've got more room, you can actually type in something that's called career break and hit the enter key, and it will then add career breaks to your profile. So now you can actually read the help about. You can add a career break, and career breaks allow you to add context and share details about career breaks you've taken outside of your regular employment in your work experience, etc. Okay, and it will show you how. I'm going to show you how here in just a second, but there's how you find more help about it. Okay. Now, If you want to put a career break in your own profile, what you need to do is go to your profile. Let me get rid of this. There we go. And it can be added either as an experience. If you go down to experience and click the plus sign, there's add a career break. Okay. Or you can actually add it as a profile section with this add profile section button, and it will show one of the core positions being add a career break. Now, all this is really going to do is add another position inside of your profile that will allow you to explain why you took a career break. Okay. And the jury is still out on this one. It's not really sure whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing. Okay. It can be both. Okay. Because if you believe that adding this career break might eliminate you from something, then I wouldn't do it. But if you believe adding a career break might enhance your story and allow you to put something out there on LinkedIn that would help you find what it is that you're trying to do in the future, then that's definitely, yes, I would add a career break. And it really just goes out as a career break. And here's what you end up trying to do is you say, why did you take the career break? Okay. So in my case, I could actually explain that I've been retired. But by the way, if you look at my profile, you're going to see that I've been retired for 14 years and I have 4 current jobs. so I don't need a career break. I've got what I've done this already. You could do this already by putting other experiences out there in the first place. But that's the way that you can put that out there if you want to, and tell it whether or not you're currently in there, and then save it and put in a textual description of it. Here's where I wanted to go here and show you from the textual description basis, that's where the keywords come into play again. Okay. I would never put anything like this on my profile unless I could use more keywords that would help me get found in the future for what I want to be when I grow up in the first place. Okay, so putting something out here that allows you to add another 2,000 characters, okay, that would allow you to use the keywords that would help you get found for something, and telling it as a part of your story. I took this career break, but oh, by the way, when I was doing this career break, I also learned how to do this, and I learned how to do this, and I gained experience in this, and et cetera, right? So it's a matter of how you tell that story and how that looks on your profile in terms of whether or not it would be beneficial or not. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, there was another question that was kind of related to something that I already said. Oops, Dean got his hand up.
Yeah, Jeff, don't use career break as what you're currently doing. Because what's going to happen is, even though it looks like it's your current job and it's too present, LinkedIn can see your profile is complete.
That's correct. You need a current position, not a career break. That's a really good point, Dean. Thank you. Because of the fact that, because that's why one of the reasons that it talks about that, and that's in that article I did that was by the numbers. Okay. One of the things you've got to have is a current position, and career break doesn't qualify as a current position. So I've got 4 current positions. As you can see down through here, basically, if you're looking at my experience section, here's my first position, here's the second position, here's the third position, here's the fourth position, et cetera. Okay, so I've got current, I'm presently there, I'm presently doing these kinds of things, and that allows me to be an all-star, a complete profile in LinkedIn terms, and allows me to get found 40 times more often than somebody who doesn't have a current position and is being an all-star. So that's an extremely important thing to make sure of. And again, a career break is probably good for a past thing, okay? But again, it depends on, it depends on, I was actually out of work for 14 months, okay? But I'm not going to explain that because that was so long ago, because that was back in, that was back in 2001 to 2002. Okay, so, there's no point in me explaining that because that was 20 years ago. It would not enhance my profile to put that career break back there. Okay, thank you. That was an excellent point. One other question that someone else asked, it was question number 5, and it was basically they talked about the fact that they're looking to be found as an executive director role. That's back to where I'm talking about the keywords. Okay, if you want to be found as an executive director, you need the words executive director on your profile lots of different times. So that would make sense, okay? Now, the addendum to that question was that they're also looking for nonprofit COO, okay? So, can they be both those things? And the answer is yes, because again, I can be a LinkedIn training and I can be LinkedIn trainer. It depends on how many times you find that on your profile. But here's the thing about being found for certain keywords. If you use the word nonprofit COO, only someone who searches for it as nonprofit COO is going to find you. The words COO and the words Chief Operating Officer are two different things on LinkedIn. So my point being is that if you're going to keep to the keywords, I would make sure that I would spell it out every single time so that if someone is looking for a Chief Operations Officer, they would find it that way. But I would also put out there with that every single time the parentheses acronym COO so that it could be found in both of those instances. So that's the key to that process. So the more you use them, the more you can get found via them. And that's, but it's important as to how you put it out there as well. And again, using the right keywords is the right way to get found. The only way you're going to get found for what you're really looking to be. And in some instances, you can use titles that you've never been, because it might be a title that matches what you have as that a target company might be looking for. So as long as you're explaining it, that's something that you're looking for as well, you can use that keyword out there as well. It doesn't have to be in your title. It doesn't have to be the fact that, when you're looking down here, in a title, volunteer LinkedIn training is my title here, volunteer members, my title here, volunteer speaker, okay? That it doesn't have to be there only. It can be in any of the text that is associated with your about section or your experience section, etc. And oh, by the way, while we're on that subject, let's talk about that one as an example as well. There are actually, this goes to that numbers, by the numbers, but there are actually 4 sections of your profile that are extremely important, more important than any of the other sections of your profile, because those are the sections that get scanned as far as a search is concerned. Okay, so here are those 4 sections. This one's the first one. The first section is your professional headline. You get only 220 characters here, but 220 characters to put keywords that might get you found, because that's one of the first things that is scanned in a search. Okay. The second section that is extremely important that you put those keywords is your about section. And that's not all my about section, but this is all that LinkedIn will show of my about section. Okay, so put those keywords as many times as you can in your about section as well. Third, in your experience section, in the titles, in the headings, in the actual see more text, okay, it is extremely important that you have the keywords in there as well, as many times as you can on any position that you can everywhere in your experience section. Okay. Again, that's why you're going to find LinkedIn training a lot of times in this one, or LinkedIn trainer in this one. And the last section that is extremely important in terms of being found is not your education section, is not your volunteering section, is not any of the other sections. It is your skills section. Putting the right skills out here will help you get found for what it is that you're actually trying to be found for. So training and LinkedIn tips are definitely ones that I've got on my profile, because that is one of the 4 areas that is searched. So I put the right skills out here. Now, by the way, putting the skills out here is the first step. Getting endorsed for them is the second step. And you can't do that, but you can ask your network to do that for you, endorse you for your skills. Okay. How are we doing, Meryl?
And unmute myself. We're good. About 10 more, 15 more minutes, and then we'll break for the evaluation.
Okay. One of the questions, I found this one very, very interesting. one of the questions that was asked was that you guys see a lot of speakers, and the question was, why do speakers teach that we should invite connections but do not accept connections themselves? Okay. And I kind of explained this a little earlier, but I want to explain it now. I can help you without being connected to you because I've shown you how to find my stuff. I've shown you how to find all kinds of interesting information in my newsletters, in my articles, in my posts, etc. Okay. But for me, okay, connecting with someone is not the first step. It's actually more like the second step. Because again, if you really want to connect with me, go out to my content and comment on it. Because conversations is what I'm after, not necessarily connections. Okay, if you wanted to go out and in one of my posts, ask me a question, as long as you mention me, I'll get there, and I monitor my posts for questions and comments. So I will answer your questions there. Okay, and I have actually changed things. If you guys had tried to do this, okay, you will, if you actually press the connect button, if you knew where the connect button was, I'd rather you follow me, okay, because that's my preference on LinkedIn. And it's in each individual's preference. So my preference is that you follow me, but it might lead to a connection if we converse enough, because conversations lead to connections, which lead to relationships. Okay. Now, I've actually set my profile up that you need my email in order to connect with me. However, I've also got something that's called an open profile. So for all of the folks that are on this call, over 60 folks that are on this call, okay, all you'd ever have to do is to go to my profile and click the message button, and you can send me a message. You don't have to be connected with me to send me a message. Normally, that's one of the criteria, is that you need to be connected with someone in order to send them a direct message. Well, my profile is open. I am open to those kind of conversations. So if you went to my profile, and now obviously Meryl can because she's connected to me. She'll send me a message directly. And we've been conversing like that for some time now. But if anybody on this call wants to converse with me, all you got to do is send me a message by going to my profile, clicking the message button, and it will get to me, and I will see the message and I will reply to your message. Okay, so I'm open to that. But literally, when you look, I've always been the kind of person that likes to have conversations with people before I connect with them. Always. That's just my personal preference. Okay, it's not about, one of the things that was in the flyer for this is to go beyond collecting connections, connections. It's not about collecting connections. It's about collecting relationships. Okay, and that's where the real networking happens. Okay, so for me, the number of people that I'm connected to, if you look at my network, there are my number of first-degree connections. I only have 600 first-degree connections. That's a core of my network. Okay. Now, do I talk to all 600 of those people every day? No. Okay. But sooner or later, and many of these people that I'm connected to like this, I have ongoing conversations with, including those people in the UK and some people in Australia, et cetera. So most of those people are here from in Columbus, Ohio, because I focus on my local environment. But it could be from anywhere around the world. Okay. But the key is that I want to help more than just 600 people. So I want a core of 600 people. But when you look at the people that I can help because they followed me, there's almost 42,000 people that have followed me. And some of you took my advice and actually said follow when I asked you to earlier, because that number's gone up since this call started. Okay. Now I needed about 20 people. Now I only need about 8 people, okay, to reach the 42,000 milestone. Okay, so those followers are there, and I can help you if you follow me, because following me gives you a chance of actually seeing my stuff. But as we discussed earlier with Meryl, I didn't even see Meryl's stuff, and we're connected. Okay, so the real connections happen through the interactions, the engagement. If you engage on my stuff, then definitely we will get connected. Okay. And I'm not really, we will get connected, and I'm not using the LinkedIn connection as the illustration of that. I'm saying we'll get connected because we'll talk. We'll have a conversation, and you can ask questions, and I can, and we can actually build a relationship. And that's what networking is about.
Someone asked a question about causes. Are causes? I don't even know what causes
Oh,
are.
it's on your profile.
Okay.
Yeah, it is it's something on your profile. It's something that if you scroll down far enough, you'll find it online. It is causes that you care about.
Oh, okay.
So you should be able to edit these. It is actually, I think, a checkbox. Yeah, it is a checkbox thing. So there's only a few things, but as you can see, I've put those out there. Has nothing to do with getting found. It's just a part of your story. It's basically if someone actually scrolled to the bottom of your, that's why nobody ever sees it, because it's at the bottom of your profile. But my causes are education, as you might well know, being a teacher. Okay, social services. I volunteer for social services and not nonprofits all the time. Okay, science and technology has always been I'm a techno geek, so that's a part of it, and of course human rights, because again, when I say namaste, that's my way of basically talking about human rights and respecting everybody. As a matter of fact, one of the things that's here in my personal pronouns, this is something that's called a personal pronoun. Okay, it's where you might see she, he, she, her, he, him, okay, etc. What I've put there is that my personal pronoun is respect to everyone. Okay, so that's what I wanted to convey.
Didn't know that was even an option. All right, we're going to take a quick break because I see some people are dropping off to
Okay.
do our evaluation. Now there's 61 people on the call right now, and lately I've been getting like 30 evaluations. Please, guys, I want to see at least 50 of you. Go to the link that I just put in the chat box. We're going to give you 3 minutes. If you don't finish it, you can go back later, but it is crucial. Ask any one of our speakers. One of the things they thank me for is that I give them the feedback, both positive and things they can improve. And on top of that, again, for our funding, we couldn't do these free programs if we didn't have this kind of information. So we're going to give you 3 minutes. Nancy's going to time it, and I'm going to go find the music on my Spotify and go ahead and plug it into your thing and go. We'll give you 3 minutes. There's Spotify. There it is. There it goes.
One minute to go.
much time do we have left?
We are almost about 5 seconds.
Okay. And if you haven't finished it, please go back and finish it. I won't get to it till this afternoon. And if you didn't do it because you just don't feel like it, because you've done it a million times before, please go do it again anyway, because it really, each time it's really very helpful for us to get that information. Jeff, there was question number 7 that you didn't get to. I don't know if you want to address that, because I thought it was interesting about getting, sales in when she wants administrative jobs or whatever.
The last position of sales, and now they're, okay. So the situation is this: the person has been a salesperson, and I think to some degree I actually have answered this, but I'll point to it again, because of the fact that they have that on their profile. That's how they're getting found. So they're getting people reaching out to them based on the sales position, but not what they want to be now. Okay. And so the point being is that you've got to minimize that sales position and maximize what you are now by putting the keywords that are what you want to be in the future on your profile as many times as possible. Again, it's really the same thing that I talked about before. Okay. Yes, it was a long time job. That how long you had it isn't going to make a difference, but how many times people are searching for it will. Okay. So interestingly enough, you need to de-emphasize that job and focus on the one that you're really looking for by putting the right keywords out there that would give them a better chance of being found. And you need to tell it as a story as well. If you don't say those kinds of things in your about section, no one's going to know. So tell it as a story. Tell people what it is that you're looking for, because honest to goodness, if you actually tell somebody, you might actually find someone who can help you with it. Okay. So from that perspective, it's basically an easy way to do that is put that in your about section, tell your story, and then again, use the keywords that are, you were looking to trying to attract something as an executive assistant. Okay. So the word executive assistant better be on your profile as many times as possible, even if it's a current job that says I'm looking to be an executive assistant, right? It's the idea that would be the first thing that they would see, because that would be your current job out there. Yeah, you may not have it yet, but it doesn't matter if you don't have it. It matters that you're looking for it, and that's why you have to have it out there as many times as possible. Does that make sense, Meryl?
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Patricia asks, is there any benefit to creator mode?
Yeah, I saw that question. For me, there is. I guess the only benefit from a creator mode standpoint is that what creator mode does, I'm going to share my screen and go out and look it up as well. I think I would recommend that you look up creator mode. Okay, so I probably have it as a. I've done it so frequently that I probably have it as a frequent. Yeah, here it is. I actually have it as a frequent. So here's creator mode help. Okay, so if you went to the help and you searched for creator mode, you'd see this. So here are the benefits of creator mode. It changes your profile. The only reason I would tell you that you should get into creator mode is that if you're going to commit to create, and in terms of creating on LinkedIn, that means posting stuff. That means putting stuff out there on a fairly regular basis. Now, what's a regular basis? For me, that regular basis is once or twice a week. Okay, so it doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be, it probably should be more than once a month, because if you only post something once a month, you're going to get no traction and nobody's going to see your stuff. But it really will change your profile to focus it on the content creation kinds of stuff, hence the creator mode. So it will help you get discovered. It rearranges things a little bit. It actually puts some stuff out there so that, and oh, by the way, when you turn creator mode on, it will also then allow you to actually do certain other kinds of content on LinkedIn, like something called a LinkedIn Live. Everybody know what a LinkedIn Live is? Okay, a LinkedIn Live is an actual video meeting that you could host as a host, or almost like a podcaster. Okay, so you could actually do LinkedIn Lives out there that will allow you to apply for LinkedIn Live and get LinkedIn Live. And then the second thing, and one of the biggest reasons that I have had creator mode on for such a long period of time, is that it will also allow you access to creation of newsletters. And newsletters is one of the best features on LinkedIn as far as I can see. I only do it once a month, okay, because I don't believe that I can provide quality content well on a newsletter basis. Newsletters is like an article, but it's a special form of an article. And the reason I have my newsletters is that I even feature my newsletter on my profile. Okay, so that if I go to my profile, you'll see it. It's actually the first thing in my feature item that you could subscribe to my newsletter by just going down here and clicking the subscribe button. I feature that because I believe I can provide it's kind of a special form article, long form content. It's bigger than a post. It got a whole lot more characters than a post, and you can do a lot more with it. It's like publishing a real newsletter, a magazine article online. Okay, and so I've been doing it now for 20 months. I've been doing it since August of 2020, and it really has helped me get a lot of more followers. As a matter of fact, I just hit a milestone on my newsletter subscribers because they just went over 25,000. Now, here's the key to, again, creator mode is a benefit if you're going to create stuff. Newsletters is one of the best things to create because newsletters, I'm very proud of this fact, is that this is not just me putting content out there by posting stuff. Whoever can see it, whoever can, here are 25,000 people who actually clicked a subscribe button and said, I want to see his stuff. So I subscribe to newsletters myself as well. That's one of the very few places, other than maybe the bell, okay, which is the bell on a person's profile, which would be for posts, but this is for newsletters specifically. And that says that 25,000 people said they wanted to see my stuff on a monthly basis. Okay, so you can do that as well to other people if you find a newsletter that you want to see as well. And it will. Here's the best of both worlds. A LinkedIn newsletter is nothing like an email newsletter. Most people are used to the process of a newsletter where you actually subscribe to a newsletter by giving your email and saying, I want to see this, right? An email newsletter. That's not true on LinkedIn. It basically, that's the best of both worlds, because if anyone subscribes to my newsletter, I never see your email. It will not tell me your email. It will not give me any of that kind of information. Okay. So the coolest part about that is that you get what you want because you wanted to see my stuff, and you have zero zip chance of me spamming you and sending you something through email. I love it. Okay. Which is why I use it a lot as well. I subscribe to like 20 or 30 different newsletters myself. Okay, so I use it a lot. And that all it really is telling LinkedIn is that you want to see my stuff. You're telling LinkedIn that, oh yeah, you are going to get one email, because when I actually publish, it will actually send you an email that said I published a newsletter. One a month. Okay. So if you believe that it's worth one a month to see more tips on LinkedIn, and again, you can go back to these anytime you want to. Okay, if you go here and click on this without clicking on the subscribe button, you're on my newsletter page on LinkedIn as it is, and therefore this is going to look a lot like my article page, because this is exactly where all this stuff is. You could go look at each of these guys, peruse through any of these that you want. Here are all 21 of my different newsletters, stretching all the way back to, as I said, the first time that I ever did a newsletter, which was actually, it says a year ago, but it was a year and a half, because it was August 20th of 2020. So
Right.
newsletter.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, creator mode is really one of the, and again, for someone who wants to create content, that I would highly recommend that you do that. And again, my best format, not necessarily yours, but my best format of content has ended up being newsletter. Okay, because I can guarantee that every single, well, here's another key point of that, is that for every single newsletter that I publish, I get 6,000 views. Now, with 25,000 subscribers, and I only get 6,000 views, you might think that's not a good thing. But I can tell you that people who publish email newsletters would kill for a 25% rate of open and look at, okay, my newsletter. Okay, so I figured I'm doing pretty well with getting at least 6,000. I'm guaranteed 6,000 views from 6,000 different people. Okay, every single time I publish a newsletter.
All right, quick question from Edie from a while back. If you like something by accident, is there a way to delete your like?
Yeah, sure. If let's go back to that. Let me go back to your post, right? So again, I'll use my handy dandy bookmark to go back to your post. Okay, so I'm right back into now your posts. And what I did was I said celebrate here, right? If you click it again, it goes away. It's that easy. Or I could change it to support, or I could change it to love, okay, etc. But if you've liked something by mistake, click it again and it goes away. It's that easy.
Perfect. All right. And Joan asked, and someone else I think I saw somewhere, you get so many alerts. How do you make your alerts on jobs? How do you shift through the many jobs that come in and make your alerts as efficient as possible?
Well, usually that in the setup of things, okay, when you're going to look at the jobs that are out there, okay, yeah, here's where, these are my recent searches, as you can see, but here's where you would actually edit and check on your job alerts. Okay, so from the standpoint of if you're getting too many of something and you're not focused correctly, I would go to your job alerts from the jobs page. You saw what I did. I clicked jobs, I clicked job alerts, and now I can edit this job alert by telling it more about what I want to see. Okay, and or establishing a new one. I might even want to delete this one and establish a new one that gives me the better terms. Okay, as an example. But everything on LinkedIn is changeable. Everything on LinkedIn is editable. All you have to do is know how and where to go to find it. That's the key. I mean, I equate sometimes LinkedIn to a gym membership. Well, seriously, folks, okay? It is a lot like a gym membership. If you don't go to the gym and you don't learn how to use the equipment, it probably won't work for you, okay? So it's the same thing. You have to go to LinkedIn and you have to actually learn how to use the equipment in order for you to get the most out of it, okay? And again, a lot of people ask me how long should I be on LinkedIn? There is no right answer to this, okay? I'm on LinkedIn a lot because I'm the LinkedIn guru. My audience is on LinkedIn, okay? I spend my day on LinkedIn, at least 4 to 8 hours every single day. And somebody asked in the questions, what does retired mean? Well, retired means that I don't work for a living anymore, okay? I don't have to go anywhere. I can make my own decisions. I can do whatever I want to do. And my decision is, for the last 14 years at least, is to teach LinkedIn and be on LinkedIn and use LinkedIn as a networking tool. That's my decision, okay? But honestly, being retired for me was never about golf or never about, fishing or anything along those lines. As a matter of fact, one of the best compliments anybody could ever give me is, Jeff, you are one of the busiest retired guys I know. Okay? So yeah, that's what retirement means to me, is going on to that next chapter of my life and doing something. And in essence, it meant doing something I really love doing anyway, but just doing it in a different fashion. In this case, it meant teaching, but in this case, it meant teaching LinkedIn. So
Howard asked, you know what, before I ask another question, because I realized that I have my little Post-it that's supposed to remind me of things I'm supposed to say at the beginning and I forgot. Everybody who is still on, you want to save the chat. So don't forget to go to the bottom of the chat box, open your chat box, go to the bottom where there are 3 little dots. It says more, and then click on save chat, and do that at the very end to make sure that you get everything all the way through, because I forgot to say that before. I lost the question I was about to ask. Howard Altman asked a while back, what is the difference between contacts and connections?
You mean, on my network where it says contacts versus connections?
Yeah.
This one? Yeah. Well, you notice I don't have any contacts. And this is one of the things that I recommend as well. Contacts are the fact that you would see something out there in contacts if you've taken your email address book and uploaded it to LinkedIn, which is not a good idea, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls, your email address book is your gold, okay? Your addresses and those emails, I will not, it's kind of like, I wouldn't even give my luggage to anybody at an airport unless you were a blood relative, and then I'd make them take a DNA test, okay? The point is that I'm not going to give LinkedIn access to my address book. That's what contacts are, okay? Connections are actual people that have actually gone through the process and actually said yes to an invitation on LinkedIn. But contacts is the fact that I might have uploaded. And if you click on contacts, it'll ask you to. It wants you to sync your contacts, okay? Because LinkedIn loves to have other people's emails. Can you say spam? Sure, I knew you could. Okay, so there is no way that I'm going to import my context to LinkedIn. And that's the difference between the two. Okay.
Okay, there's a question. How often should you post to stay active but not throw off the LinkedIn algorithm? Are the 3 to 5 hashtags enough? As I have heard any more than that is too much.
Again, there is no definitive answer to this. Okay. So you did say about how often you should post, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Again, some people post twice a day. I think that's way too much. Okay. Because that's quantity, not quality. Okay. As long as you're posting something that you're getting reactions to, then post more of that. And post it when the muse strikes you. For me, I have a themed way to post it. That anatomy of a LinkedIn post is going to talk about how I normally post. And that usually says that content is king. Okay, I return to my C's all the time. If you can't see my C's up here, coffee, conversation, and chocolate, I return to my C's all the time. Okay, content is king. So what you're posting about should be something you know about and something that you can converse about, something that you can answer questions about, something you might even be a subject matter expert on, something that you're passionate enough about to put it out there for other people to talk to you about, okay, etc. But context is King Kong. Okay, so content is king, context is King Kong. If you're just saying something because you're saying it and nobody else is interacting with it, then you're just talking to yourself. Okay, so it's a matter of, I would post more if people were reacting more. I would post, and again, the comments are queen. Okay, to some degree, content is king, but comments are queen because we talked about how often a conversation can start through comments, right? Okay. Okay, so content is king. Okay, context is King Kong, but consistency is King Kong's mother. Okay, and King Kong's mother trumps King Kong every single time. Okay, because King Kong's mother being consistent at it. It's again, now consistency to me, you could post once a minute or you could post once a month. Neither one of those is the right number as far as I can tell. Okay, in my experience, what has worked for me is I post twice a week and I am consistent in terms of posting probably Sunday, Monday. So it doesn't have to be a single day, okay? And I also do something maybe on a Thursday, Friday. And I have themes for those posts because I get a different audience based on what my themes are. And I use different hashtags for those. So as you can see, if you go to look at my most recent post, okay, and we come down through here, I do use hashtags in my posts. I use my branded hashtag, which is the LinkedIn Guru. I start every post with that. But I also want to use other hashtags that will help me get found in a broader sense. Social media, trust your tribe, and LinkedIn training. Does that make sense for me? Okay. Networking, career development. I want to be found in those realms as well. And I have ignored. Okay, so let's go back to the themes. Tip of the week on Monday, Tuesday, or Sunday, Monday. Guru Good News on Thursday, Friday. Those two have worked out best for me because I have gotten an audience that comes to see what I want to say and they have conversations with me and it's consistent. Okay, so the consistency being King Kong's mother. Now, when it comes to hashtags, I have heard all of those things about 3's the proper number, 5's okay, 9's too many. I don't care. Okay, I'm going to put what I need to put out there to get found is what I need to find, get found as, and make them meaningful enough. And every single one of my posts is going to have this at the bottom of it. Okay, every single one of my posts is going to have LinkedIn Guru on it. Some of my posts are going to have LinkedIn, going to have Guru Good News on them because they're related to those things as well. So I use the hashtag. The reason that 3 becomes the magic number, watch what happens here. This one will be one that will only show my, and what ends up happening is that the link to this post actually includes the hashtags. So no matter what you do, if you have those hashtags, Google will index these kinds of things. But I got to go here to actually copy the link to the post and then view the post in order to show you what it looks like up here. See what happens to LinkedIn and the URL for this LinkedIn. Notice that the LinkedIn Guru is up there 3 times because those are the first 3 hashtags. That's why it's so important to use the right 3 hashtags first in your post, because those first 3 hashtags will actually get part of the address. Therefore, they will get indexed. Therefore, they will be more likely to be found than the others. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to show up when somebody goes down through here and they click the career development. If they click career development, even though it's the last one, guess what the first post is that pops up on career development when I go looking? And there are over 58,000 people who are following this, and I get to see my post first. Okay, so it still works no matter where I put it. It's just that those first 3 are probably the most important ones in terms of the indexing. But it doesn't mean that on LinkedIn, if somebody's actually following career development, I'm not going to get seen if somebody goes to the hashtag career development. Did I answer all of that question, Meryl?
Yeah, I think you got that really well. Someone wants to know how you find your animation, where you find your animation.
Where I find my animations? Okay. I will tell you that I'm not going to answer that specifically, but I'm going to answer it by pointing you to something again. Okay. In my featured section, this is a great thing that you can watch and you can read. Okay. Again, in the featured section, I want you to actually go look at all. Matter of fact, what I will do, again, save. I don't know whether saving it once gets it every time or not, Meryl, but I'm going to put a link to my featured section in the chat. Okay. So there's a direct link to my featured section. But if you go to my profile and you click on featured, and then you go and you bring up my featured section, okay? As a matter of fact, again, you can't click on featured. You can click on one of them in here, or you can go to the right and see all, show all. As you scroll down, I want to show you from an animation standpoint. I love animations. It really helps get my message across. Okay, even though I was a techno weenie and a left brainer all my life, I've tried to be a little bit more right brained when it comes to my posts and things like that. If you scroll down far enough, you will get to a point where it says, there it is, to GIF or not to GIF. That's what I use a lot of on my comments and on my posts. Okay, GIFs. It's an actual acronym that stands for Graphic Interchange Format. And this is where you would go to click on this, and you can watch a live session that I did with a great lady who's great for videos, by the way. So if you want to do more video, you should follow Jillian Whitney and try to tell her and or connect with Jillian and tell her I sent you. Okay, because if you tell her I sent you, she'll connect with you. I guarantee it. Okay, but here's the view, and you can go see this actual live. It's
How about this? We're late to our own live. Okay.
all right. So this will talk about how I do my gifts, where you find the gifts, where what you should be cognizant about as far as copyrights on gifts and all those kinds of things. So that's a LinkedIn Live that you can get access to that way as well. Okay. So I honestly, the brief answer to that, Meryl, is I find a lot of my gifts by going to look for them on Google. Okay. So if I wanted to find something that said, thank you, Superman GIF, I would go here in Google, type in the words, thank you, Superman GIF. And if I want to say thank you, I click on images, and then I grab this image and I right mouse click it, save that image as, and then I can use it in any comment I want. So to use that on a comment, I won't really do it on Jude's, but I'll put the comment out here. And to use that on a comment, all I got to do is click the fact that I want to comment, type in what I want to say, and then to add the graphic to it, I go out to where I've stored all those graphics, and I type in the word thank you. It pops up with all the thank you graphics that I have, but if I want to use that one, I double click it, and did that work? It didn't work. There it did. Yeah, it just took it a few seconds. There's my thank you graphic. It's that easy because I've stored them all. I've saved them all, and then I can go search for them. And you'll see that in that live. So I'm not going to really do that. But. Okay, what's next?
I know we're coming to the end here. There was, and I just lost it. Oh, so Howard, who asked the question about the context and the connection, said I have a few contacts that I don't know how they got added. How do I convert them?
Convert them to connections?
I guess.
Okay.
Howard, are you still on? Is that the question? I don't know if Howard's still here or not.
Still here, yes, that's the
Oh.
question.
convert them to connections? Well, if they're not already, they could be. You'd have to actually go look them up on LinkedIn and invite them to connect. Okay.
Okay, there's not like I can go to the contact, click on something, and it'll automatically
No.
convert over.
No,
All right.
because again, it's your email address book, and that's all it is email address book. So it won't necessarily take you, I don't believe it will take you directly to their LinkedIn profile. It will if it actually matches their email address, perhaps, but not necessarily. So just finding out who the person is, then go looking the person up and going to that person's profile, clicking the connect button is how you could take a contact and make them a connection. And again, inside of here, one of the things that I did, if you want to actually tell LinkedIn that you don't want to do this anymore, if you have it in here, there would be a way of actually taking it off of here as well. Say, so if you actually have things that are in your imported contacts, you can remove your imported contacts here as well. I don't have any, so there's no remove option. But if you want to get rid of them out of there, and you know, after you connect with them, then you might want to do that. But it depends on how many you have, but you can do it all at once. Which I actually did mistakenly upload my address book at one point in time, which is why now you see 0, because I took them off. Took it away.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, well, it is 11:45, so before anyone else drops off, I want to give a big round of virtual applause to Jeff, who volunteered to come here once and volunteered to come here twice. And I know I've been scribbling away with notes here, so I can't even imagine. If you feel like, because Jeff does talk not as fast as I do, but pretty fast, and you want to review it. Unfortunately, the person who puts our videos up on our YouTube channel just moved on to another job. And I'm going to try to figure out a way to get all these videos up. But if you want a copy of this video, send me an email. My email is in the chat box, which you just saved by clicking on the 3 little dots. And I will email, because I get a copy of I'll get it from Zoom and I'll share it with you, even if it hasn't gone up there. If you want to see any of our previous programs, and there have been a lot of them, because the first 4 months of COVID, we were doing them weekly. And since then, we've been doing them bi-weekly. And they're amazing, amazing speakers. Go there and go watch them. And if you would like to find out more about JBS, what again, I have my little Post-its and I didn't even look at them this morning, which was a mistake. I forgot to thank our funders. We are fully funded by Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West. We couldn't do this without them. Actually, last week we had our site visit where they come and evaluate whether they're going to give us funding next year. And one of the things I talked about was how every single time I get on the Job Seekers program, I thank them for their funding and how we couldn't do our jobs without them. So I would like to thank them as well. And as I always say, we're also funded by viewers like you, not when you're unemployed and really are tight for money, but once you land and if you want to pay it forward. We continue to do the work we do, especially the one-on-one work, which is highly costly, and we charge very little for it because we get funding. So that's what we need. And if you want to pay it forward and write out a check, I'm always willing to say yes to a check. But otherwise, again, I can't thank Jeff enough. I've learned a million things already today. I don't even know how to process them. I know that he's always willing to connect and to help people. So if you have more questions for him, I'm sure you can reach out to him directly. If you have questions for me. Do we have one more person who might want to raise their hand? Because there may be something buried in the chat and I can't go back through there anymore. Is there some question in the chat that I didn't answer before we say goodbye? Or comment or anything?
I just have one comment, which is a namaste, and thank you, Meryl, as always. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I hope folks had as much fun as I did doing it. And again, I want to reiterate that if you want to see the previous one, you can go to your website, or you can actually go to my profile, because there's a link to the previous one that I did for you folks out there as well. It's a few back, but it's there under my podcast and LinkedIn Live guest. So when you get the YouTube, when and if you do get it uploaded to YouTube, would you please send me a link to it, because I would love to add that to my profile as well and tell people how to get access to it as well. So thank you again. Namaste, everyone. Have a wonderful Thursday. Okay, it's a Thursday kind of day. Okay.
And everyone just stay healthy and safe. And if I usually end by saying, I hope I don't see you in 2 weeks at our next program. And somebody sent me a comment about that and said, you know, some of us are working but want to learn, want to grow. So for those of you who are looking for jobs and are on this because they're looking for jobs, I hope you're not on it next time because you've landed. For those of you who just want to grow and learn, welcome back. The truth is, I know our next one has something to do with networking, and I just did the flyer, but my pre-Alzheimer's brain doesn't remember exactly the title, and I didn't write it down. But if you were here today, then the only list you go on with JVS is what we call our seminar list. And I use it only to send out the flyers for the next program. So we'll see you in 2 weeks if you want to be here. Hopefully it'll be beautiful spring weather, and everyone just stay healthy, because that's the most important. And thanks for coming. And thank you again, Jeff. And thank you, Nancy, for, as always, helping out. Take care, everybody.